You said that.
Let me ask
you
somebody.
Said that.
Somebody who know me for real, right? Who really know me.
Man, I'm gonna tell you what you wanna hear.
Do you think I'm like?
What she got?
The video ain't really the issue. The video being posted up on social media is the issue. If someone would have sent her that video privately, she and I would have had one conversation about it, and it would have been over.
Atlanta thought it was just another calm night until the internet exploded with the kind of betrayal no one saw coming. A leaked hotel video shook the Harris family to its core, exposing Clifford, T.I. Harris, in a dimly lit luxury suite with none other than Shakina Anderson, the woman the world once knew as Tiny's closest confidant. This wasn't whispers in the streets, this wasn't vague rumors, this was raw, undeniable footage of betrayal that lit up TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram like a wildfire. Hashtags like #exposed and #justice for Tiny shot to the top overnight, leaving fans stunned, critics disgusted, and supporters heartbroken. The video itself left no room for excuses. Expensive champagne bottles glittered on the table, the hotel curtains barely pulled shut, and in the center of it all, T.I. and Shakina, caught in an embrace that shattered the image he built for decades. Loyalty, family, respect, everything he preached seemed to vanish in an instant. Fans began stitching the clip with old interviews of Tiny speaking on trust and love, making the betrayal cut even deeper. What the internet once treated as gossip had transformed into a digital earthquake, breaking down a marriage and turning private heartbreak into global humiliation.
It just put a lot of back and forth, a lot more strain on just what we had going on. Afraid of that, and it did put some strain on our relationship. If you see him, we was about to divorce here and there, and breaking up here and there.
But Tiny refused to fade into silence. Instead of hiding behind cryptic posts or quiet tears, she marched straight into a courtroom with her head held high and pain written across her face. She filed what's now being called the betrayal lawsuit of the decade, a $50 million lawsuit against both T.I. and Shakina, accusing them of emotional abuse, betrayal, and dragging her name through the dirt in front of the entire world. Reporters couldn't believe it. $50 million was the price Tiny put on decades of loyalty destroyed, her home broken, and her life humiliated online. The courtroom quickly became the biggest stage in America. Cameras flashed as lawyers read the charges, but the bombshells didn't stop there. Out of nowhere, an anonymous source slipped in a secret diary allegedly written by Shakina herself. Inside, lines cut like blades. Clifford promised me he'd leave Tiny. He told me we'd rule the industry together. Those chilling words ripped through the courtroom, and Tiny broke down in tears, screaming that they had destroyed her life and stolen her family. That breakdown went viral within minutes, millions of viewers crying with her as she transformed from just a celebrity wife into the tragic queen of betrayal, someone people rallied behind as a symbol of every woman wronged. But T.I. wasn't about to let the narrative run unchecked. His lawyers clapped back with a shocking claim. The footage was staged, the setup was orchestrated, and Shakina was manipulating everything for clout. Gasps filled the courtroom. Was this really the betrayal everyone believed, or was there a deeper plot to trap T.I. and profit off his downfall? Shakina wasn't staying quiet either. Rising from her seat, she snapped back that T.I. had manipulated her, promising love and a future while leaving her to take the blame. Two women once as close as sisters now stood as bitter enemies, battling not just for the truth but for their dignity, while one man sat at the center of the storm. Outside, the internet turned savage. Shakina's Instagram became a war zone, flooded with comments calling her a snake, a family destroyer, and worse. Memes painted her as the villain of a modern tragedy, while Tiny was elevated to hero status, her face plastered on murals with captions like "Justice for Tiny" and "The Queen deserves better." Supporters flooded timelines with tears and heartbreak emojis, while critics dragged T.I. as a man who had torched his own empire. The darkest moment came when Tiny walked out of court holding her daughter's hand. Cameras caught her trembling voice as she looked at her child and cried, "Look what your father did to us. Look how he destroyed our home." That clip spread across the globe, freezing timelines in stunned silence. This wasn't just celebrity drama anymore. It was a family tragedy playing out in real time, broadcast for millions to watch. The endorsements began collapsing, concerts canceled, and angry fans protested outside T.I.'s mansion demanding accountability. Shakina's reputation was torched overnight, while Tiny, though broken, stood as the woman the world wept for. And just when the dust started to settle, Tiny's lawyers dropped evidence no one expected. Audio recordings of a man sounding exactly like T.I. whispering, "Just keep it quiet, Shakina. Tiny can never know. If this gets out, everything I built is gone." The courtroom gasped, reporters scrambled to tweet, and Tiny buried her face in her hands as undeniable proof of betrayal echoed through the speakers. Hotel receipts soon followed, with Shakina's name tied directly to T.I.'s reservations. Suddenly, this wasn't just whispers and videos. It was documented, stamped, undeniable betrayal. Day 2 of the trial came with even heavier firepower, and by now the courtroom had turned into a theater of pain. Tiny's lawyers pulled out a hard drive packed with hours of secret recordings, and when the first clip played, the entire room froze. A man's voice, sounding unmistakably like T.I., was heard whispering, "Just keep it quiet, Shakina. Tiny can never know. If this gets out, everything I built is gone." Gasps filled the room. Tiny covered her face, and reporters nearly tripped over each other trying to blast the quote online. The hashtags shifted instantly. #Empire destroyed, #TinyVestTI, #Shakina exposed. The betrayal was no longer rumor. It was stamped, digital, and permanent. But the revelations didn't stop there. Tiny's lawyers laid hotel receipts under T.I.'s name with Shakina as the guest. The jury's faces said it all. This wasn't gossip. This wasn't fan speculation. This was betrayal written in ink. A paper trail that tied Clifford Harris to his wife's closest friend. Tiny's attorney looked straight at the jury and thundered, "This is not speculation. This is proof that Clifford Harris destroyed his wife's trust, humiliated her, and shattered their family in front of the entire world." Tiny, already trembling, collapsed into her lawyer's arms while the gallery buzzed in disbelief. The defense scrambled to spin the story. T.I.'s lawyer waved papers, claiming the receipts were forged. Just a scandal, or was someone trying to bury one of hip-hop's biggest names? The streets debated non-stop, some defending T.I. as a victim of a setup, while most called it the coldest betrayal hip-hop had ever seen. Then came Shakina's turn on the stand. Trembling but defiant, she locked eyes with both T.I. and Tiny before confessing, "I never wanted to hurt Tiny. She was my sister, but T.I. promised me everything. He said he'd leave her. He said I was the one." Her voice cracked, her tears flowed, and the courtroom leaned in on every word. Outside, protesters screamed, "Stand with Tiny," while fans in the gallery hissed, "Liar," under their breath. Shakina painted herself as a victim, but the sympathy was thin. Tiny's lawyers weren't done with her. They pulled out screenshots of private DMs allegedly sent by Shakina to T.I. Messages that read like a dagger to Tiny's heart. "Cliff, I can't wait until she's out of the picture. It's finally going to be just us." The courtroom erupted. Reporters ran outside to break the headline, and social media froze as timelines flooded with the screenshots. Suddenly, Shakina wasn't just the other woman. She was an active conspirator plotting against her best friend. Tiny, through sobs, turned to the judge and cried, "How much more do I have to see? How much more can a woman take?" That breakdown went viral instantly, with fans calling it one of the rawest, most heartbreaking moments ever caught on camera. But the avalanche kept coming. A hotel employee stepped forward to testify that he personally saw T.I. and Shakina checking in together on multiple occasions. His words sent shockwaves through the courtroom. T.I. lost control, slamming his fist on the table and shouting, "They're lying! This is all lies! I'm being set up!" The judge threatened him with contempt charges, and cameras caught every second of the meltdown. That clip alone racked up millions of views overnight, with captions like, "The empire crumbles," and "Caught in the act." The outside world only added to the chaos. News vans lined the courthouse steps, helicopters buzzed overhead, and influencers live-streamed every detail to millions of viewers, dissecting each twist. Protesters held signs reading "Ban the Betrayers," while murals of Tiny painted her as a queen rising from ashes. Every move, every tear, every whisper became content for the world to consume, turning a family tragedy into a global circus. And then came the financial bombshell. An anonymous source leaked bank records showing massive transfers from T.I.'s accounts to Shakina, tens of thousands at a time, spread across 2 years. The implication was explosive. Not only was this an affair, but Shakina was allegedly being paid off to keep it quiet. Tiny gasped when the numbers hit the projector. The jury's jaws dropped, and Shakina herself broke down, screaming, "It wasn't about money. I loved him. I thought he loved me back." Critics called her meltdown the performance of a lifetime, while fans saw it as the nail in her coffin. By this point, Tiny had transformed into more than a betrayed wife. She became a symbol for every broken woman who had ever stood by the wrong man. Emerging from the courthouse, pale but determined, she whispered into the cameras, "This isn't just about me. This is about every woman who's ever been lied to, betrayed, and broken. I will fight until the truth is heard." Those words replayed on every major outlet, cementing her as the tragic heroine of this saga. Meanwhile, T.I. sat stone-faced, watching decades of work collapse around him. Endorsements gone, concerts canceled, fans chanting outside his house. His name now dripped with betrayal instead of respect. Shakina, once chasing fame, was now drowning in shame. Her Instagram turned into a battlefield of hate comments and memes mocking her downfall. Tiny, though shattered, stood taller than ever, her pain carried by millions who now viewed her as the queen of heartbreak and resilience. What started as a single leaked video had spiraled into a war of receipts, recordings, betrayals, and tears. The courtroom wasn't just a place for justice, it had become the most explosive stage in America, and the deeper it went, the darker the story became. By the third week, the trial no longer felt like a legal battle. It had morphed into a full-blown Shakespearean tragedy acted out in real time. The silence in the courtroom was suffocating as Tiny, with trembling hands, stared at the two people who had ripped her world apart, her husband T.I. and her once best friend Shakina. The betrayal wasn't speculation anymore. It was being read out loud, word for word, in diaries, voicemails, and receipts that painted a picture too vivid to ignore. And when Shakina took the microphone, her shaky voice cut through the silence. "Clifford promised me love. He promised me freedom. He told me Tiny was holding him back." The gallery gasped. Tiny collapsed into her lawyer's arms, and the world outside stopped scrolling. This was no longer celebrity gossip. This was heartbreak weaponized and broadcast to millions. Social media exploded again, pushing hashtags like #TinyBroken and #ExposedForever into the stratosphere. Fans recorded themselves crying in reaction videos. Influencers streamed live as they read the diary entries, and memes of T.I. were plastered everywhere with captions like "Empire of Lies" and "Snake of the South." Shakina was called a homewrecker at every turn, with people digging up her old clips and dragging her for chasing clout. The internet had chosen sides, and Tiny was their queen, broken but undefeated, humiliated yet held up as a symbol of every woman who had been betrayed by the man she trusted. But just when the tension couldn't rise any higher, Tiny's lawyers unveiled the second leak that shattered whatever defense T.I. still had, a private voicemail from him to Shakina. His voice, low and desperate, confessed, "I can't let Tiny know. If this gets out, it's over for me. But you're the only one who understands me." The entire courtroom froze. Reporters scrambled to push the audio online. Tiny let out a scream so piercing it silenced the entire building. "You ruined my family. You lied to my children." The outburst hit every headline, replayed non-stop on TV and social media, cementing the betrayal as one of the most devastating scandals in hip-hop history. Outside, Atlanta itself felt like it was on fire. Protesters filled the streets chanting for justice, waving posters that read "Justice for Tiny" and "Cancel T.I. Forever." Others mocked Shakina with cardboard cutouts and chants that made it clear she had become the internet's villain of the year. The courthouse steps became a circus, with news anchors, podcasters, and YouTubers all battling for camera time as they broke down every tear, every scream, every twist. Helicopters hovered above, news vans stretched down the block, and fans live-streamed as if they were watching the downfall of a king. Inside, Tiny gave the testimony that broke hearts worldwide. Her voice cracked as she said, "I gave him my youth, my loyalty, my heart, and he traded it all for lies with my so-called best friend." Her words sliced through the courtroom like knives. Ty tried to respond, claiming he was manipulated, lured, and trapped, but the jury's cold stares told the truth. They weren't buying it. Shakina burst out again. "He loved me. Don't make me the villain when all I did was believe his lies." But no one was convinced. To the world, she had crossed the ultimate line, betraying her best friend for the man she was supposed to protect her from. And then, the final dagger. Tiny's lawyers unveiled diary entries that showed Shakina's obsession in her own handwriting. Clifford said we'd rule the industry together. Tiny is nothing compared to what we have. The gallery gasped once more, and Tiny collapsed a second time, clutching her chest, whispering, "Why me?" Cameras caught every second, replaying it across the globe. That moment transformed the scandal into something beyond entertainment. It became tragedy in its purest form. By the time the judge adjourned, the damage was permanent. Tiny had to be carried into a black SUV by her team, sobbing uncontrollably, while T.I. left with his head down, ignoring questions as boos reigned over him. Shakina pushed through a crowd of insults and hate, her once loud personality drowned in shame. Social media was flooded with reactions, clips of Tiny's breakdown, millions of views of fans crying alongside her, influencers sharing their own betrayal stories, and endless debates about whether T.I.'s career could ever recover. The fallout was brutal. Radio stations debated pulling his music, platforms saw boycotts trending under #CancelTI. Endorsements vanished overnight, and entire tours were scrapped. His empire, once untouchable, was crumbling brick by brick in front of millions. Meanwhile, Shakina's name became synonymous with scandal. Her old reality show clips turned into memes mocking her downfall. And Tiny, though shattered, carried herself like a survivor, emerging as the queen of heartbreak, a woman broken yet lifted higher than ever by global sympathy. The saddest image of all came from a fan's shaky phone video. Tiny holding her daughter's hand, whispering, "This is why I fought to protect you, to show you no woman deserves this." That video went viral instantly, captioned, "A queen broken but never defeated." It symbolized everything: betrayal, pain, resilience, and the strength of a woman standing even as her world burned down. And as the dust settles, the questions remain. Will Tiny ever truly heal from this? Can T.I. survive the destruction of his empire, or has his legacy been poisoned forever? And has Shakina sealed her fate as one of the most hated figures in hip-hop history? This wasn't just a scandal. This was betrayal on the grandest stage possible. A love story shattered, a friendship turned into knives, and children forced to carry the scars of choices they never asked for. We talk about scandals like they're entertainment, but this wasn't entertainment. This was tragedy. A family ripped apart in front of the world, a courtroom turned into a stage, and millions watching as a queen cried out for justice. History will remember this moment not as gossip, but as the day an empire collapsed. So now I'll ask you, do you stand with Tiny? Do you think T.I. can ever rebuild what's left? Or has Shakina destroyed every last piece of trust this family had? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now, because this isn't just drama, it's history unfolding in real time. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, like this video, share it with your people, and drop a comment below. Let's talk about it.